United States and Iran have signed a peace deal. Most Indians will immediately be thinking of one thing: cheaper oil, no war in the Gulf, no disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, no energy shock. And that's true. But there's another story here, a much bigger strategic story. A story about a dusty port on Iran's southeastern coast that India has spent nearly 2 decades pursuing. A port that many people wrote off as a failed project. A port that may suddenly become one of India's most valuable geopolitical assets. And that port is Chabahar. And if sanctions on Iran are lifted as part of a US-Iran deal, India could finally begin collecting returns on one of its longest and most patient strategic bets. For more than 20 years, India has been chasing one idea. How do you reach Afghanistan, Central Asia, and Russia without going through Pakistan? Because geography has always been India's biggest problem. Pakistan sits directly between India and Central Asia. Every road route north runs into political barriers. And Islamabad has never been enthusiastic about giving India easy access to markets beyond its borders. So New Delhi looked west. The answer was Chabahar port in Iran. Located on the Gulf of Oman, Chabahar gives India direct access to Iran and onward connectivity into Afghanistan and Central Asia. Now think of it as India's gateway into Eurasia and a route that bypasses Pakistan completely. The idea was strategically brilliant. The execution, not so much, because geopolitics got in the way. India and Iran signed the Chabahar Agreement in 2016, a year after Iran and the Obama administration signed the nuclear deal in 2015. And sanctions had eased. But then Donald Trump arrived. In 2018, Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal and sanctions came roaring back. Technically, India received special waivers for Chabahar, but waivers alone do not create trade. After all, a port is only useful for goods if goods move through it, and sanctions ensured that commercial activity remained severely constrained. Now, over the past decade, India had invested roughly, in fact, more than 1,000 crore into this project. If it extended another 2,000 crores as a line of credit. But after Trump's sanctions came a series of curious moves. Indian officials associated with the port stepped back from operational visibility. India Ports Global Limited restructured aspects of its engagement. Even budget allocations appeared to pause. To many observers, it looked like India was retreating. But that was not what was happening. India was simply insulating itself, protecting its investments, waiting out the sanctions storm. In other words, New Delhi was betting that sanctions would not last forever. And now that patience may finally be paying off. If the proposed sanctions relief in the US-Iran agreement go through, Chabahar could undergo a dramatic transformation. For the first time in years, banks would be able to finance transactions. Insurance firms can cover cargo. Shipping companies could return. Investors could re-enter the market, and goods could finally move at scale. Now that matters because Chabahar is not just a port. It is part of a much bigger connectivity vision. The International North-South Transport Corridor, or what many people also call the INSTC. This corridor links India with Iran, the Caucasus, and Central Asia and Russia. Instead of sending cargo through traditional maritime routes, goods can move through a combination of sea, rail, and road networks. And India would gain a strategic trade route that does not depend on either Pakistan or China's expanding network of influence. For New Delhi, frankly, that is a geopolitical dream. Because let's be honest, one reason that Chabahar matters so much is because of Pakistan. For decades, Pakistan's geography gave it leverage. Any Indian effort to access Afghanistan or Central Asia ran into Pakistani territory. Chabahar changes that equation. It creates an alternative, a parallel route, one that Islamabad cannot control. And today's environment, alternatives are power, especially when supply chains are becoming strategic weapons. A fully functional Chabahar gives India options. And before we celebrate, there is an important caveat. This entire opportunity depends on one thing: the peace holding. The Middle East remains volatile. Israel has made no secret of its concerns regarding Iran. Questions remain about Iran's nuclear program. Questions remain about the durability of any agreement. Questions remain about whether future American administrations could once again change course. India has learned this lesson before, remember. A project that looks secure today can suddenly become hostage to geopolitics tomorrow, which is why New Delhi will likely move carefully even if sanctions are lifted. But the strategic logic remains unchanged. For years, Chabahar became shorthand for unrealized ambition, a grand project trapped by sanctions, a gateway that never fully opened. But if the US-Iran deal survives and sanctions are lifted, India could suddenly find itself holding a strategic asset it spent 20 years building. The headlines this week may focus on oil, but the bigger story may be connectivity. This is Times Access, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe because the next big global shift will have India at its center.
If they had a nuclear weapon, you would...
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
No tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's Axis, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy and power seen through India's eyes. From Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers, war room analysis, strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere, but perspective is rare. And in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.